On 5 News, changing the face of Britain's politics. New rules could see up to 50 MPs lose their seats and make it even harder for Labour to get into power again. Jeremy Corbyn and George Osborne could be among the casualties. Also, nurse Pauline Kafeki, who survived Ebola, faces being struck off over accusations she kept her illness a secret. Meet the new virtually indestructible £5 note coming to a cash machine near you. What a scorcher, as much of the country basks in the hottest September day for over a century.
It's going to be a fantastic gold medal. Ellie Simmonds takes gold.
3 golds in 40 minutes, how Britain's swimmers shone in Rio. And celebrating Roald Dahl's 100th birthday, as another generation of children falls in love with his stories.
The only people who actually mean are the grown-ups.
There's lots of chocolate in some of them, and children love chocolate.
Hello, welcome to 5 News. I'm Matt Barbet. Some of Britain's best-known politicians could see themselves out of a job after proposed changes to the size of constituencies were outlined today. It means some MPs' seats will effectively disappear, among them Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn's and the former Chancellor George Osborne's. Labour says the plans are unfair and undemocratic as they stand to lose the most seats. 5's political editor Andy Bell reports.
16,692.
This is how you win power in Britain, constituency by constituency. But now the political map is being redrawn. First principle, to make sure all those constituencies have about the same number of voters.
The smallest seat is about 55,000, the biggest seat is about 90,000. That's a very big disparity. So there was a policy there to try and balance things out so one person's vote would weigh about the same wherever they lived, whichever constituency they were based in.
This is what the constituency boundaries look like now, but the Commission's been told to cut the number of MPs from 650 to 600. Under the plans for England and Wales, 465 English constituencies will see some change, and 33 would be abolished entirely. In Wales, the number of MPs would fall from 40 to 29. Those examining the changes agree that Labour stand to lose about 25 seats, the Conservatives about 10. Some well-known faces could be hunting new constituencies. Tatton in Cheshire is due to disappear for the former Chancellor George Osborne. In Yorkshire, the seat of the new Brexit Minister David Davis is being carved up, and Nick Clegg's Sheffield constituency could go too. This is Islington North, the constituency Jeremy Corbyn's represented for more than 30 years. But under the proposals, this will be abolished as new constituencies are carved out of this part of North London. The Labour leader will have to make sure he gets one of those. But do the voters really mind about these changes?
I love living in Islington, but whether the boundary lines to north is wherever it is doesn't really matter.
I don't know how much impact it would actually have on day-to-day life, but then if our MP changed, then it would have an impact.
What would be interesting is the outcome. What Member of Parliament do you end up with?
Jeremy Corbyn says the changes will give an unfair advantage to the Conservatives and Labour must oppose them.
Let's get together to challenge the system the Boundary Commission is using as a party to make sure that there is good democracy in this country with fair and equal representation between all parts of the country. That's what we're doing and that's what we're saying and that's what we're united on as a party.
Overdue adjustments that reflect population changes or an unfair redrawing of the political map. Politicians and the public can now have their say.
Andy, Labour members and their leader think this is unfair. Do they have a point?
Well, Labour claim that the Boundary Commission has been working off the wrong figures, that they've missed out perhaps 2 million voters who signed up after December 2015, which was the cut-off date that the Boundary Commission used. But leaving that aside, there's no doubt that under the way the constituencies are being reorganised and equalised, Labour do stand to lose more seats on the face of it, and therefore it will be harder for them to win the next general election, which is due in 2020. Having said all that, this all has to go through Parliament. MPs, in effect, have to vote to lose some of their own seats. If you have Labour opposed to it and you have some disgruntled Conservative MPs who aren't at all happy that they could be losing their constituencies, well, this still could be blocked.
Andy, thank you very much indeed. The nurse who caught Ebola while working in Sierra Leone is being accused of allowing a wrong temperature to be recorded when she arrived back in the UK in 2014. Pauline Kafiki almost died from complications that developed because of the virus, as Julian Drucker reports.
She's the nurse who battled back from a deadly disease only to face a new fight. Pauline Kafiki survived Ebola, but allegations of dishonesty have clouded her name since. She went to West Africa to aid the sick at the height of the outbreak 2 years ago. But the Nursing and Midwifery Council had alleged she'd allowed a wrong temperature to be recorded when she arrived at Heathrow from Sierra Leone in December 2014. She was diagnosed with Ebola the next day and put into isolation, being declared free of infection a month later. In February last year, the NMC confirmed she'd be investigated over misconduct.
When it was tough the first time, but second time round it was horrendous.
Speaking in May, she described the meningitis she later suffered, which was triggered by the remaining traces of Ebola in her body.
There was so much wrong with my body, I wouldn't know where to start. I had hearing loss and just having the worst headache of my life.
Seen here arriving at the hearing earlier, Ms Kafiki was this afternoon told she has no case to answer on the charge of dishonesty. But she still faces claims including not reporting her true temperature to screening staff and not telling them she'd recently taken paracetamol. The nursing regulator has stressed it's not there to punish her, but tonight her reputation and future career remains on hold. Julian Drucker, 5 News.
German police have arrested 3 Syrian men suspected of being sent by so-called Islamic State to carry out new terror attacks in Europe. A specialist anti-terrorism unit carried out a series of raids, seizing phones and also computer hard drives. Campaigners have met the Home Secretary Amber Rudd to demand a public inquiry into the Battle of Orgreave, over 30 years since the most notorious day of the miners' strike. The questions centre on the actions of police at the protests in South Yorkshire in 1984 and also claims of a cover-up. And the Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton says she is feeling much better after falling ill at a 9/11 memorial service on Sunday. She has since admitted she had pneumonia. I'm sure you've noticed it is the hottest September day for much of the country in over a century, with sweltering temperatures in many parts of England. It's so hot that health bosses have issued a heat warning. Danny Sinha is in sunny central London now. Danny, just how hot is it?
I can confirm it is the hottest day of the year. It is such a scorcher. And this was the scene in Brighton today, with those lucky enough to have the day off taking to the beach. But interestingly enough, it wasn't the hottest place to be. Gravesend in Kent, that recorded the hottest temperature, 34.4. And it was hotter than Bangkok, hotter than Marrakesh. And it's not the only first, because the Met Office says it's the warmest day we've had in the month of September since 1911. That is more than a century, so quite some milestone. But of course, it's not just humans who are feeling it. Keepers at London Zoo, they had to take special measures to keep some of the animals cool. These meerkats at London Zoo enjoying some cool ice lollies to cool them down. But of course, it's not lovely for everybody. Those in Northern Ireland and some parts of Scotland only reaching temperatures such as 14 Celsius. But if you are experiencing that hot weather, of course, the necessary precautions should be taken. So drink plenty of water, stay cool when you can. If you do enjoy the heat, though, some good news on the way, because that warm weather is set to continue at least until Friday in some parts of England.
All details confirmed, Danny, at the end of the programme, because that's when we'll have a full weather forecast for you. Sean Welby will be here with that. Do stay with us for the latest. Next, though, it is a shocking statistic. The number of acid attacks in the UK has almost doubled in the last decade, with over 100 incidents last year alone. When Lakshmi was 15 years old, acid was poured onto her face in her hometown of Delhi. Now she's here in the UK, and she's using fashion to help draw attention to what happened to her. Olivia Kinsley reports.
How much confidence must it take to stride out on the catwalk? And how much more if, like Lakshmi Agarwal, you've been disfigured by an abusive man who wanted to destroy your self-esteem? When Lakshmi was 15, a 32-year-old man asked her to marry him. She said no because she was too young.
I was on my way to a famous market in Delhi. He was waiting for me with his younger brother and another girl. He pushed me to the floor and poured a glass of acid over my face. Every part of my face was damaged. My ears, my nose, my eyes.
Lakshmi was so traumatised by the attack and her scars, she refused to go out in public for 4 years. When she finally found the courage, it changed her life. She set up a foundation to support acid attack victims and now has a loving partner and a family of her own.
I realised that instead of feeling like a victim, I want to feel normal and like a fighter. I realised that if I don't do something about it, who will?
This pre-London Fashion Week event is raising money to support vulnerable women, including in the UK. Adele Bellis from Suffolk was scarred down her right-hand side when an ex-boyfriend attacked her with acid. She didn't want to speak on camera, but joined the catwalk to show that beauty is more than skin deep.
Changes have already begun. I met 5 survivors of acid attacks. When they arrived, they had their faces covered, but when they saw me, they uncovered too. Opinions are shifting, there's more acceptance, and people like me are feeling less like victims.
Together on the runway, they're survivors, beautiful and proud. Olivia Kinsley, 5 News.
Still to come on the programme. Cash and curry. Now, the Bank of England governor tested the new plastic fiver. And from Willy Wonka to the BFG, children celebrate Roald Dahl's most famous characters on what would have been his 100th birthday. All that and more with a side order of snozcumbers after the break. Welcome back. Now, if you've been to the cash point today, you may have pocketed a brand new plastic fiver. The Bank of England's new note is now in circulation in England and Wales. The polymer notes are said to be cleaner, safer and stronger than our old paper ones, although Scotland's had them for a year and Northern Ireland's had them for 17 years already. Minnie Stevenson's been to find out how they're going down, though, with the new spenders.
You are looking at the brand new plastic fiver with an old face you'll recognise on it, Sir Winston Churchill. Compared to the old paper £5 note, it's supposed to be cleaner, harder to fake and lasts 5 years longer.
There it is, the brand new plastic fiver. Very difficult to take. In fact, it's so strong that you can apparently put it in a spin in the washing machine. Happens to me every time. There are now 440 million of these, so get spending.
And today, the Governor of the Bank of England turned some heads on his lunch break when he used his first fiver at a market stall. He bought a Turkish wrap with extra chicken, by the way. So with millions more of us now paying using contactless, I asked the Governor whether money's here to stay.
How relevant are notes? How do you keep them relevant?
Well, I use contactless from time to time. I use it on the tube like many other people. But just under half the transactions in the country still use cash. And actually, demand for cash grew 5% over the last few years, each year.
Have you ever left a fiver in the washing machine? We've all done it, but surely you can't have done it.
I have to confess I have.
Have you?
And I've been disappointed in the results, because if you leave one of the existing fibers in your jeans, it comes out, it's slightly faded, it's a little tatty, and you trade it in at the bank. These will last much longer.
The arrival of plastic banknotes means Britain is joining a list of more than 30 countries that already use them, Australia being the first in 1988. So being a big spender, I'm armed with a fiver to see whether Britain will buy the new plastic note.
It's like Monopoly money.
Will you be spending it like Monopoly money?
Hopefully. I haven't. Yeah.
Like a carrier bag.
Feels like a carrier bag?
Yeah.
Can you see yourself with one of these plastic notes?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's a bit fake.
A bit fake for you?
It might slip out my pocket.
Initial impressions?
It feels weird. It's like kids' money, like play money.
As for the old fiver, that expires on May the 5th, 2017. So plenty of time to spend away. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
Might be like kids' money, but don't give it to them. Now, it's been another golden day for Paralympics GB in Rio. Georgie Hermitage stormed to her second gold of the Games with a world record victory on the track, while Holly Arnold won gold in the javelin. And, you guessed it, it was gold for Rob Davis in the table tennis. And that strong performance has helped Great Britain maintain its standing on the medal table. We remain firmly in second place with 31 golds, 16 silvers and 20 bronze medals. China are still in the lead with 54 gold medals, though. Simon Viger reports now on another strong day for Britain's Paralympians.
Georgie Hermitage was gunning for a second gold on the track this afternoon, and it was hard work as temperatures soared to 36 degrees. People talk a lot about legacy, and one of the legacies of 2012 was it persuaded Georgie to return to running after a long retirement. Not a bad decision, as she set a new 400 metres world record.
The last round throw.
In the javelin, Holly Arnold has set a new world record on her way to Paralympic gold. It's her third Games, and Holly is only 22.
He's done it!
More gold in the table tennis came courtesy of Rob Davis, and these boys know how to celebrate. The former Brickie was very happy. Now, of course, the Paralympics hasn't always been this big, but one of the events that goes right back to the first one is the club throw. And one of the British team's elder statesmen is Stephen Miller. His first Games was 20 years ago in Atlanta, where he won the first of his 3 golds.
Well, he had a bit more height on that one, did Stephen?
Today he won bronze to cap a fantastic career. Sasha Kindred was also in Atlanta in 1996, and he spearheaded a Great British Gold Rush in the pool last night. Sasha broke a world record, won his 7th gold and promptly retired. Sasha and Stephen started their Paralympics careers when Ellie Simmonds was just a year old. 21-year-old Ellie is fast becoming a veteran in her own right, and last night she also broke a world record to win her 5th gold in the 200 metres medley. And then a great win for Susie Rogers in the 50 metres butterfly. Susie's face told the story. She really wasn't expecting that.
But Susie Rogers has done it!
Ellie is expecting more gold. She competes again tonight, along with several other stars of Paralympics GB. Simon Viger, 5 News.
Oh, so good. First, the BBC lost the contract to show the Great British Bake Off. Now it's been announced its presenters, Mel and Sue, are standing down.
It's like wallpaper paste.
It's bread week,
I'm not going to eat it.
with a sweet signature that could turn sour.
I think it's good.
Fellow stars Paul Hollywood and Mary Berry are yet to confirm their plans. The announcement follows the news that Channel 4 has paid £25 million for the rights to the show, with the BBC reportedly falling £10 million short of that offer. Now, his books have been simply a marvellous medicine for generations of readers. Many have found his exaggerated and horrible characters splendiferous. And today, Roald Dahl would have been 100 years old. As Layla Hayes reports, his birthday and his stories are being celebrated by kids right across the country.
He's the man who invented Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas, and his magical characters have shaped countless children's lives. So what is it that makes Roald Dahl so special?
All his books are really creative, and they just hook children in with all the excitement in them. Like, there's lots of chocolate in some of them, and children love chocolate.
And some of them are scary as well. Do you ever find them scary?
Well, I like some scary. I like different types of books so that they're not all happy and they're not all sad. The only people who are actually mean are the grown-ups, and the children are the heroes.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
His books have sold more than 200 million copies and been translated into 59 different languages. But 26 years after his death, Roald Dahl is as popular as ever.
I think Dahl had an amazingly sort of uncanny sense for how a child sees the world. And that was something that was almost unique to him. He was very proud of it, actually, as a person. He often described himself, even when he was old, as a geriatric child, and he would boast about how he could go into his writing hut and within 10 minutes go back to being 6 or 7 and 8 again. And I think that's an amazing gift.
The hut was a modest hideaway in his garden, and it was here he created some of his most fabulous characters.
But once you're in, you're there, and it's lovely. And there's no aches or pains or anything, and you can lose yourself in your work.
Today, on what would have been his 100th birthday, Dahl is fondly remembered.
He always said, great writers, artists, creative people aren't really recognised until they die. And I think that has happened to Roald. I think his legacy is now enormous.
His characters are adored by children of all ages, and the magic and wonder of Roald Dahl's creations will delight for generations to come. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Now look, if you've kitted out your son or daughter, maybe even yourself, as a Roald Dahl character, and you think their costumes can beat the ones in Layla's report, we want to see them, especially if you're dressed as a Trunchbull or a Vermicious Canid. Post them on our Facebook page. Search for channel5.com, or on Twitter, we are @5_news. Email us, stories@channel5.com. We'll feature the very best ones in 5 News Tonight in an hour's time. Look forward to sorting through those in the intervening hour. That's it for now, though. Sean Welby, of course, is here with the weather next, and I'll see you again for 5 News Tonight at 6:30 and those pictures. Bye-bye for now.